Moving on, we're going to look at the duties that need to be performed before the exam commences. Students may enter only after the venue has been prepared for the examination. Prior to the entry of students, the Chief will step outside and make an announcement to students. Chiefs, please refer to your invigilation manual for this announcement. Now, there is strictly no talking once inside the exam venue, and students are not permitted to communicate with their peers at all. Students may be admitted up to 20 minutes before perusal time commences, and that depends on the venue. The Chief must judge the timing of entry to the venue to ensure that all students can be seated and ready to commence the exam on time. Now, where late preparation has delayed the start of an exam, the start and end times must be adjusted accordingly. The late arrival of a student must not delay the examination. Now, at least one invigilator should be positioned at the door to control entry. This will stop students from congregating around the entrance and facilitate a speedy and orderly entry into the venue. Now, seat numbers may be handed out to students on entry into some venues, and this is only used in some large venues to scatter students as a preventative measure for cheating. Now, only authorised persons, and that being students, invigilators, EXT staff, course conveners or school staff, should be permitted to the exam venue. Now, once seated, students should not open exam papers or write on any material until advised to do so. All personal effects and unauthorised materials must be left in an area of the exam venue designated for this purpose. Now, this is usually at the front or the side of the venue in a lecture theatre or underneath the desk in other venues. The Chief will make this instruction clear to all students prior to entry into the venue to avoid that confusion. Now, it's recommended that all wallets or other valuable possessions are kept underneath the chair to maintain security. And students must not access their bags at any time during the exam unless that is supervised. Students are asked to place their student ID at the top corner of their desk for the full duration of the exam. A current driver's licence, passport or any other form of photo ID can be produced in the place of a student ID card. Students that have no form of photo ID must be asked to complete a signed student ID declaration card. Students should be asked to remove hats and caps, and look, discretion should be always used when issuing this directive, as religious and cultural headdress is permitted. Please consult with the exam centre if it is not possible to confirm the identity of any student. Mobile phones must be turned off and either placed in the student's bag or under their seat. And this goes for invigilators also. Please do not have your mobile phone turned on. Unless specified otherwise, food is also not permitted in the exam venue. Electronic devices, and this includes diaries, organisers, dictionaries, laptop computers or tablets, are all prohibited materials. Now, this includes iPads, Android devices or e-book readers. Any reference materials such as writing paper, notes or textbooks are also not allowed unless specified as permissible material. Now, the cover sheet of the exam paper will clearly indicate if a calculator or dictionary is permitted, and if so, the specific type will be mentioned. Now, let's take a look at these in further detail. There are two categories of dictionaries. The first is a non-electronic dictionary, which can be any hard copy dictionary. The second is an English translation dictionary, which contains simple and short word-to-word translations. For example, English to foreign language or foreign language to English words. So here is an example of an unacceptable translation in an English translation dictionary. Dictionaries titled Advanced or Intermediate Learners are often indicative of too much translation. This is highlighted by the diagrams and long explanations in the dictionary. Now here we've got an example of an acceptable translation in an English translation dictionary. You will see it only contains word-for-word translations. Now, calculators consist of generally two categories. Firstly, let's have a look at the non-programmable calculator. As you can see from this image, there has standard size screen of approximately 2 centimetres and commonly referred to as a financial or scientific calculator. Now, programmable calculators, on the other hand, have a large screen, which is about 1/3 of the size of the calculator. Programmable calculators are much like a computer, and they can automatically carry on a sequence of operations under control of a stored program. As part of a pre-examination check, it is therefore very important that the memory of these calculators are cleared. Now, depending on the model, the reset button may be found on the front or the back of their calculator. Now, once settled into the venue, the Chief will make the appropriate announcement to students to commence their examination. Now, from this point on, any unpermitted materials found in a student's possession should be seized and reported immediately to the Chief Invigilator, who will report this on the incident report form. Right, this concludes Module 3. Below you'll find the textual content and a short test. Again, this should be completed before moving on to the next module, just to make sure that you understand the content before moving on.